Hey guys, welcome back to episode 11 of DAS Radio. This week we have super exciting news in NFTs, crypto, and Web3. What do you have for us this week, Mark?
Alright, so I'll start out by talking about some of the fallout after the FTX incident, including the BlockFi bankruptcy, and then I'll go into some of the allegations against FTX. Then I'll be talking about OpenSea's new updates to their public API, a Magic Eden integrating Polygon to support more Web3 gaming, and finally, Instagram becoming its own NFT marketplace. What do you have for us?
So this week I'll be talking about Prada releasing their 7th NFT collection, MetaMask starting to track your IP, Hot Wheels and Mattel coming into the metaverse, the Sandbox selling new parcels of Sandbox land, and also a crypto firm called Genesis going into bankruptcy. So without further ado, what's the first topic for this week?
Alright, so I'll get started talking about the bankruptcy that BlockFi declared. I believe it was today, it might have been yesterday. But so they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the state of New Jersey and stated that they have about $250 million in cash on hand, but then they have like $10 billion in assets and liabilities. So they have their SEC is actually one of their biggest creditors, so they owe a lot of people a lot of money, and they are claiming that they have over 100,000 creditors total. And sort of some updates that came out about this just like very recently, it might have even been a few hours ago, is that they are suing SBF over his holdings in Robinhood shares. So he has 575 million in Robinhood shares that they are suing him for, which FTX allegedly pledged as collateral to BlockFi only days before FTX's own collapse. What do you think about that?
Wow, this is crazy because this actually kind of ties into one of my articles, which was a crypto firm called Genesis filing bankruptcy as well. And as we get into this peak of the crypto bear market, we can see more and more companies have no other option than filing like Title 11 bankruptcy. So I guess this is a perfect leeway into the next topic, which is kind of relating to this topic as well, how a crypto firm called Genesis is in huge debt. Actually, this week, their CEO came out saying there's about a $1 billion hole in the ground that's an emergency for them to be filled. So they need $1 billion within a 1 week, and they're scrambling to find it. And also this is because of FTX suspending withdrawals. And when FTX suspended withdrawals, Genesis was left with no other option than suspending withdrawals for their clients, because Genesis had about $175 million locked up in FTX when FTX stopped withdrawals. So this kind of domino effect kind of affected Genesis as well, to the point where they're illiquid, and now they have $2.8 billion in outstanding loans on their balance sheet, and they're under extreme scrutiny by US regulators. So their CEO came out and said they have no immediate plans of filing bankruptcy, but things are getting pretty bad, just like they are with BlockFi. Do you have anything else to add?
I just want to say we're really seeing this FTX incident just ripple across the entire ecosystem. And I'm about to talk about something that's even more, like, I would say it's even bigger than the Genesis filing. And then after that, I'll go into even more talk about FTX before we move on to some other topics. But next, I'm going to be talking about how FTX is causing Solana blockchain to be FUDed. And there's a lot of misinformation surrounding this, so I just wanted to start by clearing this all up. So it is true that Alameda Research holds about 13.25% of Solana in circulation, which of course is an absolutely massive stake. But I would like to say is one of the biggest sort of consolations to investors should be that it is actually locked in staking until 2025. And this is locked between March and June of 2025, and it's addressed separately on Solana's webpage that shows where their investments are from, essentially. So they're being very clear about the whole thing, but in terms of Solana's locked staking liquidity, Alameda has actually 65% of that. So what do you think this means for the Solana blockchain?
I think people are actually FUDding this way more than necessary, because when you go back to the origin of Solana, the way it worked is every Solana in circulation was sold to a VC. So it's not surprising that someone like Alameda Research is only 13% of supply. There's actually other big name VCs who hold other chunks of Solana. And my personal theory is that these big name VCs will go into confirmation bias. They'd rather just double down on their initial hunch rather than say they were wrong. Because let's say Solana does shut down, for these VCs, it's not just another tax write-off, it's really like, it could literally bring down VC companies, because this is a huge percentage of their portfolio. So it could really tarnish reputations, and I think VCs will take it really seriously. So personally, my investment thesis is that these VCs that hold a large chunk of Solana will come together to buy out FTX's 13% or Alameda's 13% stake in Solana. And I think especially because a good portion of the Solana is locked away, they have the time to kind of congregate and figure things out. But I don't think ever 13% of Solana tokens will be released over the counter. I think there's just not enough liquidity, so it just doesn't make sense. Even the seller would do this trade because it would bring the price of Solana down so much they would lose like 50-60%. So yeah, I don't think people need to FUD it this much, especially because the VCs, their best interest is actually prop up Solana. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Do you have anything else to add before we move on to the next topic?
I just wanted to say that if anyone's actually interested to see the wallets holding this, if you go to Solana's website, they have separated all of their holdings, and there's a way to actually filter by Alameda Research's holdings because they have realized all this FUD coming out. But before we move on, I just want to talk about one more crazy thing involving FTX and SBF. So it was discovered that over 19 properties in the Bahamas have been purchased worth over $120 million. These are a bunch of luxury beachfront homes and things like that, and his own parents have been listed as holders of a $16 million vacation home. So there's a lot of questions about like where did this money come from? Was it company funds? And it's just, there's a lot of information going around and it's hard to tell what's actually true. But one thing is that the parents of SBF are actually trying to return these houses to the company as soon as possible because basically they don't like the bad publicity. So I think that's actually kind of funny, but the FTX headquarters in the US are now completely unoccupied. The furniture's pushed up against the windows and it's just a ghost town. So why do you think they're trying to give these houses back?
I think if they are planning to give the houses back, it's only because they feel like they don't deserve it. If they feel like they don't deserve it, it's because Sam Bankman-Fried kind of gave his parents those houses and those beachfront properties from funds that were questionable. Maybe they were company funds, we don't know. But once more light is shed on this topic, I'm sure we'll see that there was some foul play. I'm curious to see what it was, but this whole thing reeks of foul play. So yeah, but without further ado, I'd like to move us to the next topic for the week, and I want to talk about Prada releasing their 7th collection. So Prada has 6 other NFT collections, which are all in profit, and they're not in just Ethereum profit. They're not just above their mint price, they're actually all in USD profit. So this is very, very rare, and the way they've been able to do this is because they have very, very low supply, and they also sell their NFTs at reasonable prices as the mint price. So this 7th collection is actually going to have 50 NFTs released, and each NFT is going to come out with an ugly Christmas sweater made by Prada. So if you buy this NFT, not only do you get this ugly Christmas sweater, but to receive that sweater, they'll actually fly you into Milan, let you attend a fashion show, and after the fashion show you get your sweater and you can get to fly back home. And the coolest thing is the entry price for this NFT is so low that I think even after someone flies to Milan, gets the perk and the utility of the NFTs, I think even after that, just trading as a digital collectible by Prada, I think it'll trade above its mint price. So I think Prada is doing something very interesting here. They clearly don't need the revenue from the Web3 sector. They're just doing this as a publicity stunt, and I think it's great. I honestly think just seeing these big name comes is bullish, so I don't mind that it's a publicity stunt. What do you have to add?
I just wanted to say, like, I definitely don't mind at all that it's a publicity stunt. I think it is awesome that they're actually flying people all the way to Milan just to get their sweaters. I mean, obviously the conservative way would just be to ship it, but they are Prada. They're not known for being conservative. And I might have missed this, but did you say what the mint price is?
So I believe the mint price is $50, but it also may vary, so I'm not sure what the exact mint price is going to be, but I believe it's going to be around $50. So it's a very reasonable mint price, just like their previous collections, and if you buy the NFT, it's guaranteed you get to fly in. It's not even a question. So I think it's going to sell out like that, probably in a minute, and yeah, I honestly, I'm not even going to try to buy it, because I'm sure I won't get it. What do you think?
I might try so that I can be disappointed, but I'm really curious to see what the price is going to go to, like, immediately after the sale.
Would you fly to Milan, or would you sell it?
I would probably sell it if I'm being completely honest. I don't know how much need I have for an ugly Christmas sweater by Prada. I mean, it's cool and everything, but
you might have a need for a Italy vacation trip.
Maybe that sounds kind of nice, but without further ado, let's move on to our next topic. So next, I have some news for developers regarding OpenSea's public API, which, by the way, this is public in the sense that you can request the API key. It's not just public to everyone. But they're now supporting multiple blockchains with this API so that you can make different dApps and stuff like that. And this will be supporting, on top of Ethereum, it'll be supporting Polygon, Clayton, Arbitrum, Optimism, and Avalanche. So to be completely honest, I haven't heard of most of these, but what I really like about this is that they're expanding to support different blockchains, not just the ones that people know about, and I think it's extremely bullish for the future of crypto, especially after this bear market ends. Do you think this is significant?
Yeah, I think this is big. I think people on Twitter, when they see this, they think, oh wow, OpenSea, which used to be only Ethereum, is now kind of diverting their attention. They're losing the ETH maxis. I don't think that that's a big deal. I think the biggest thing is they're going to become mainstream. They're going to place their pawns in place for the next bull run. Because what I think is these smaller chains we've never heard of, the only one I heard from the list you mentioned is Polygon and Avalanche. Those are the only two I'm familiar with. But these other chains no one's heard of. If OpenSea thinks they're big, I think they have a reasonable chance to be the next 100x token come 2025, 2026. So when the next Bitcoin halving happens, I think it's going to be these tokens that haven't mooned yet, that have the biggest profit potential. And I think especially if OpenSea is starting to provide developer access and backend API keys for this, I think as investors, we should start looking at these chains for the next bull run. And I think that's huge. I know one of my articles, which I want to talk about transitioning to now. Do you have anything else to add before I transition into this?
I just wanted to say nothing we are providing here is anywhere near financial advice, but I also wanted to say that next I will be talking about yet another marketplace that is switching to be multiple blockchain. But you go ahead first.
Alright, so I want to talk about how Mattel is actually choosing the Flow blockchain. So speaking of blockchains that are not popular, actually when we went to NFT NYC, we saw like floor-wide displays for the Flow blockchain. So they clearly have a lot of VC funding. I think they told us they were the ones with like 60 or 90 million in VC funding. So we were very impressed by the amount of VC funding they had. And now Mattel, which is the world's largest toy manufacturer and board game manufacturer, chose the Flow blockchain to launch Hot Wheels on. So Hot Wheels, everyone knows it. In the 90s, they were the biggest toy manufacturer for toy cars. They're still one of the most iconic toy car manufacturers. They've actually released NFT collections before, but what makes this one special is that you have a chance of getting a cast iron replica of that car. So they've never done NFTs with a physical collectible, but this is their first NFT collection with a physical collectible. But not all NFTs come with the collectible. The way it works is for $25 you can get a pack of 7 cars. These cars are a remake of 60 popular cars, including a Honda, McLaren, Chevrolet, and Aston Martin. And there's 60 other ones that are from popular cars that people love from the Hot Wheels 90s edition that they're remaking into the NFT. And the cool thing is Mattel is actually also opening up a metaverse in the Flow blockchain, so you can actually take your cars and drive them around. You can drive them around in their blockchain. So I think that's super cool. I do think that to appeal to the next generation, Hot Wheels does need to make virtual cars instead of physical toys. I don't see kids playing around with physical toys as much as they used to in the past. And I do think it's cool that a few of these NFTs have a rarity trait that's basically you get a cast iron replica of that car. So I think that's super cool, because I know that when Mattel or when Hot Wheels, they release these limited edition things, they usually go for lots and lots of money. So if you're able to mint one of the rare ones, I think you're in for like 10 grand at least.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about this?
I have a few questions actually. So just to clarify, you're saying that only if you get one of these rare ones with the trait, then you get the physical car, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but regardless of which car you get, it will have the utility that it can be driven in the metaverse?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I had another question, but it won't come into my head. So just continue.
This might answer your question. So for those of you interested in minting Hot Wheels, it launches at December 1st, 3 p.m. Central Time. So that's when the launch is. $25, you get 7. Question?
Yeah, I remembered. So what is the size of the minting collection?
So they're actually doing a super interesting way. They actually don't have a supply set. They actually just have a time set. So they mint for 1 day after they start, and they just keep minting till the time is over, and how many ever they sell will be the supply. So that's how it works. So there's not like a max supply set. It's just how many ever people go to the website and buy, that's the supply. So it just gets cut off there. I think that's super interesting for the bear market, because let's say you say your supply is 20,000 and you sell 10,000, that collection's bound to fail, right? So I think this is a very interesting strategy for the bear market, and I think it would work. If you just say we're selling as many as we sell in 24 hours and that's the supply, I think that's far better than trying to guess how many you can sell. Because yeah, NFTs are sticky, so I think they're playing it right. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think it's an awesome tactic, or at least a very interesting tactic to use. I'm really wondering what it will do to the resulting floor price. Because a lot of the times, like, the scarcity is what causes the price to go up and all that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I will take us on to the next topic. As I mentioned, another marketplace is switching to be multi-chain, and this is Magic Eden, who is now beginning to support Polygon too. I know there's been a lot of criticism surrounding this on Twitter, isn't there? But they're going to do this to support more blockchain and Web3 gaming. and they've already made partnerships with a number of big name companies, and this is including Ubisoft and Decentraland. And I'll be giving a few quotes from them right now, just really quick, so that we can get sort of Magic Eden's vision for the whole thing. So they say, they have always envisioned a cross-chain future for Magic Eden, and given Polygon's popularity amongst game developers as a low-cost EVM-compatible chain, integrating Polygon will continue to cement Magic Eden as the go-to Web3 gaming platform. So essentially, they're trying to attack the situation of making everything in Web3 just more accessible. They're trying to bring blockchain gaming to everyone and to sort of be a hub for blockchain gaming once it does become solidified. Do you think their mission is going to be successful, or do you think they'll mostly stay on Solana? What do you think?
I think they know exactly what they're doing. Similar to OpenSea expanding to these other blockchains like Avalanche and Polygon, it makes perfect sense that Magic Eden is doing the same thing because their business models are very similar. I think Magic Eden expanding into Polygon makes way more sense than OpenSea expanding into these 7 blockchains that I haven't really heard of. But yeah, I think for sure, I think it'll play out well because Magic Eden has been making money moves, and for that, Twitter has been calling them greedy. But honestly, as a businessman, when I look at it, they're just doing whatever it takes to survive and bring money in. And as a business with like tons of VCs to answer to, that's all that matters. What matters is month over month, are you bringing in more money? It's not even are you bringing in money, it's are you bringing in more money than you did last month at that scale. So I completely understand why they're doing what they do, and I think they will be successful because they literally go where the money is and try to place their pawns for success.
So I just wanted to add one last thing before we move on. They've stated that they think NFTs will be chain agnostic, so that's making me wonder if Magic Eden will be expanding into other blockchains soon, which I think will be really interesting to see. But take us to your next topic.
So next, let's talk about MetaMask. So MetaMask, which is the #1 Ethereum wallet in the world, is actually starting to track your IP address. Now, a lot of people are outraged, but actually MetaMask has been tracking your IP address the whole time. The only new addition now is that they're starting to keep track of where these accounts are from. So if you have like 30 accounts, they're starting to link them to the same IP. So they're starting to keep a database where they start to try to profile people and find out which groups of wallets belong to who. And this, I think, is the first step in regulation. I think the reason they're doing this is because as the #1 wallet, they're being pressured to comply with regulation. And I think MetaMask is just the first. I think many other wallets are about to do this soon. And I think regulation is good. And even though people are mad right now, Personally, I know you might be against this. Personally, I feel like if you have nothing to hide, there's nothing wrong with MetaMask doing this. It's only when you have something to hide that something like this can go wrong. But I know it's against what crypto stands for, so you might want to defend that end.
Oh, absolutely. I have plenty to say about that. That is one of my least favorite sayings in existence, that if you have nothing to hide, then like you shouldn't worry about any of that. I completely disagree. I gotta say, I agree with the original theology that crypto and Bitcoin is meant to be completely decentralized. I think it should be anonymous. So I think this is a big step back for privacy, essentially, in crypto as a whole. I'm not happy that MetaMask did this, but I would say yes, they probably were forced by regulators, and yes, I do think other wallets and will be forced to do this in the future.
So without further ado, what do you have for us next?
Alright, so my final topic, I'm going to try to go through this quickly because we are nearing our 20-minute mark. But Meta has announced that they already announced recently that Instagram is going to be able to be like hosting NFTs. You're going to be able to post Polygon NFTs. They are now announcing that it'll be an NFT marketplace, actually. So people will be able to mint and sell their NFTs on the platform, and they will be providing an end-to-end toolkit for the creators from anywhere from creation to showcasing and to selling. So they're sort of just bringing the accessibility into NFTs that we've all sort of been looking for, and will really let anyone make a collection, which I think is really cool. Do you think these Instagram NFTs will become mainstream?
I don't know, honestly, because I haven't used Instagram really. I don't have an Instagram account, but I know as a company we've tried to make an Instagram account a few times, and from what I've seen, people keep on posting new pictures on Instagram. They just keep on traveling and posting pictures here and there. So I don't see the need for NFTs on that end, but maybe Instagram can pivot to the point where people are kind of collecting these pictures. But I'm not sure, because usually on Instagram people keep on posting new content and they're all unique. They're not repetition. So I'd like to see how it plays in well. But speaking about Meta, I think I think there's a reason Meta is entertaining this, because over Thanksgiving I was able to try the Meta Quest Pro, which is the virtual reality goggles by Meta. And dude, I wanted to tell you and the audience that VR is actually far more advanced than where most people think it's at, because Meta is actually really doing good work with this. I played this game called it was called like Bone Lab, and the gravity and the feel in it was just hyper realistic, and it got me super excited about the metaverse. And for some reason, Meta's Horizon world is not polished up at all, but a lot of the games that you can play with the Meta Quest 2 and the Meta Quest Pro are extremely polished up. So the games made by other companies are very advanced for even current times. But yeah, without further ado, I want to transition. Without further ado, I wanted one, and I checked for Black Friday deals, but I couldn't find any on them. They actually raised the price $100 when Black Friday came. I don't know why.
Fair enough, I guess. But continue.
So, I wanted to get to the final article for this week, and Sandbox is actually planning to sell new plots of Sandbox land. So Sandbox is actually adding on to their initial map, and this sector is going to be, the center is going to be the Playboy Mansion, and surrounding that is actually going to be big name A-list celebrities that actually bought land and claim to be living there in the metaverse. So we know big name celebrities like Snoop Dogg have entered the Sandbox metaverse before, but the Snoopverse is basically a place where other people can go and hang out. They claim that this new land is where Snoop Dogg will create his mansion, and to join Snoop Dogg there will be other big name celebrities like Paris Hilton, Nipsey Hussle, and all of these celebrities are claiming that they're going to be living in this plot of land in the metaverse. So there's a lot of hype around this new addition to the Sandbox metaverse. People are so hyped that they're not just going to mint out this collection of land, they're actually going to, before that, mint out the right to buy the land. So right now what you can do is you can go buy a raffle ticket that gets you permission to buy the land, and if you win the raffle, then you have to pay the mint price for the land on top of that. So there's the cost to buy the raffle, and once you win the raffle, there's a cost to buy the land. So there's kind of like a double entry wall there, but I'm sure that because it's so hard to get, the price of it will do really well. And it's also there's the faces of like such big name celebrities, right? Like Nipsey Hussle, Snoop Dogg, Paris Hilton, all these big names just saying they live there. I think at least will cause a lot of hype during the mint time. What do you have to say?
So I have a comment and a question. So I'll start with the comment. It's like the most crypto NFT thing ever to create a raffle for a whitelist spot. I just think that it's funny that they went that far. I mean, I've heard of whitelist spots, but a raffle for one, I don't know if I've heard of that before. But next, my question. Do you know if these plots of land are any different than the existing Sandbox land plots? Like, are they different sizes? Are they different features? Anything like that?
So it doesn't mention anything specific, but what I assume is that it's completely identical. So the article mentioned that it's just adding on to the existing Sandbox metaverse, and I don't think it should be any different than other land. The only difference is that some of the land was pre-sold to companies and also A-list stars, and you can see exactly where the land is, and you can buy raffle tickets to buy land right next to them. So yeah, that's all the information I have. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 11 of DAWS Radio. Do you have anything else to add before I wrap us up?
Oh no, wrap us up.
Awesome. Tune in next week for exciting news on NFTs, crypto, and Web3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to DAWS Radio. We'll see you guys next time.